What's up, you guys? It's Robert from thecashonmind.com, and today's video is going to be about something that's been on my mind for probably a couple of weeks now. I want to talk about your payment method when making purchases. Whether it's online purchases or purchases at the grocery store, how you pay for your items is almost as important as what you get. Some people choose to use cash, some people choose to use their debit cards, and some use credit cards, and I would like to go out on a limb here and say that not all payment methods are created equal. But before we get to the rest of the video, please make sure to smash that like button because it really helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and it also helps with growing the channel. And be sure to subscribe if you're interested in learning more about saving, investing, building wealth, or anything else that comes along with personal finance. And last but not least, please make sure to turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss a beat when I upload new content. The first thing that I'd like to bring to light is the whole credit card versus debit card versus cash debate and which one you should be using to make your purchases. Now, of course, we're going to talk about the pros and cons for each of these, but before that, I do have a disclaimer. There are two sides of the spectrum for using credit cards. See, one side is very cynical about using credit cards and that you should avoid credit cards at all costs and that credit cards are bad and that credit cards will leave you in debt and that credit cards are going to ruin your life and you'll spend forever trying to pay them back. And Dave Ramsey comes to mind whenever I think of that. And if you don't know who Dave Ramsey is, he's a multimillionaire and a best-selling author, and he's really big on beating debt, and he just really, really doesn't like credit cards. So he thinks you're better off without them, but that's not always the case. See, if you're educated in personal finance, you won't go into debt because you know how to spend only what you can afford. People with the opposite opinion are people like Tommy Bryson, my friend, Nate O'Brien, and Graham Stephan. I know he's another big advocate for using credit cards. You see, most of the big finance YouTubers agree with using credit cards, and a lot of personal finance advisors actually teach people that using a credit card in a smart way will not only let you use the credit cards for free without having to pay any interest or without having to pay any fees, it will also help you build your credit, which will help you in the long run. And a lot of credit cards have the additional perk of giving cash back and travel points, which lets you travel the world for free or earn money for whenever you make a purchase. When you put the two side by side, they really can't be beat. But there is still no right or wrong answer because what works for you works for you. Personal finance, by nature, isn't a one-size-fits-all, and it shouldn't be. Something that works for you won't work for somebody else, and that's just how it is because different people make different amounts of money to have different responsibilities, have different bills that they have to pay, and everything like that. People that are comfortable using credit cards should probably use credit cards, and people that have had bad experiences with credit cards in the past, rightfully so, should be more hesitant. There are some people, though, that say they're never going to use credit cards and they're never going to buy a home or they're never going to take out a loan and they're not going to take out credit cards at all, and so they don't work on establishing good credit habits. And what I talked about in my last video, link in the description if you want to see that, is that sometimes when you're applying for a job, they'll look at your credit as a potential deciding factor on employment because having good credit correlates to being financially responsible, and being financially responsible could correlate to being actually responsible in any other categories. It could also hurt your chances at getting into an apartment if you don't have credit or you don't have bad credit. Say you and one other person are applying for an apartment and one of you has a really good score and someone doesn't. The company or landlord in this case wants their money. More often than not, your credit score could set you apart from other people because having good credit means you're more likely to pay your bills when the bills are due, and that's very, very important. Obviously, that should go without saying. You should take personal finance super duper seriously. And you know what? After this video, after you finish liking this video and watching that other video, you should check it out. It's a link in the description. Just go ahead and check it out. It's really cool. But the payment method that I want to talk about first is cash, bills, change. The actual currency that you can physically touch with your hand used to be a staple of our economy. Now, not so much. You see, less and less people are using cash to make purchases because other options have shown to be more convenient. Using both debit and credit have been proven to be safer alternatives than using cash. And personally, I almost never use cash because I always feel the need to spend it. That's just kind of something bad about me in personal finance. I just really don't like having cash. So if I have an extra $20 in my pocket or something, it really burns a hole in my pocket. And when I do get cash, I always go out of the way to put it in my bank account because I know it's safer from me there. I'm not gonna spend it. But it's not all negative for cash users, though. You see, having cash keeps you from overspending. You simply can't spend more cash than you have on hand, and when you use a debit card or a credit card in the store, you essentially hand the plastic to the cashier, they swipe the plastic, and then they give the plastic right back. See, there's no physical loss, so it's easy for you to overspend because you imagine that you have more than you do and you're not actually feel like you're losing something. But when you're using cash, you can literally feel it, and oftentimes you'll actually spend less because of that. You'll see that you're giving away $20, $50, $100 to the cashier, and then you'll ask yourself, is it worth it to be spending all this money rather than what I could be doing, which is saving it or investing it, but instead I'm swiping it and I'm forgetting about it, or I'm giving this person this cash and I'm never going to get that cash back. So it really gives you a whole different insight on cash and what you think is worth spending. In some places, cash is the only form of money that a business will take. Cash-only businesses still exist, and they avoid taking debit and credit because companies, credit card companies or debit card companies, actually charge them for taking payments from customers. So the business is able to save money like that, and they'll even get like an ATM, and they'll make money from people having the ATM in the store. And it's most popular in barbershops and nail salons. Sometimes it's popular in car washes are cash-only businesses. But these businesses are becoming more and more obsolete as new ways of digital payments are arising. They're becoming more common. Things such as Apple Pay, PayPal, and your traditional debit and credit cards are really taking over the money market. Debit cards are the easiest form of payment to use, and they have the simplest concept too. Debit cards take money from either a checking account or a savings account, and it works like this. Money goes into the account with a deposit or a paycheck or whatever it is, and money goes out through paying stuff. It's a very linear deal, up and down, up and down. There's no third party that you have to pay. There are additional hoops that you have to jump through, like with a credit card, and therefore it makes it super convenient. There are no strict rules for getting a checking account, so pretty much anyone can get one. You don't have to be 18 or anything. I know I got my first checking account when I was 15 and had a debit card attached to it, and debit cards really prevent you from overspending just like cash does, because you can only use what you have in the account. There's only a set amount, and trying to draw more than you have will lead to overdraft charges unless you have overdraft protection, and that the bank will actually penalize you for trying to go over. So if you don't have any money in your account, you don't want to get penalized having to pay more money when you don't have the money in the first place. But there are some really big downsides to using debit that I think you should know about as well. Starting with the fact that you're essentially walking around with your bank account in your pocket. So if that card gets stolen, it's so much harder to dispute fraudulent activity, and criminals could drain your bank account and leave you with nothing. Whereas a credit card company, they act as their own entity and they want their money. So they are going to they're more likely to hunt down the people that are making fraudulent activities on your credit card. And you're only required by law to pay $50 of it. So you have a lot more protections than you do with either cash or debit cards. I've seen some debit cards that give perks, but a majority of them, if not most of them, are lacking in perks. See, when you use a credit card, most of the time they offer some sort of incentive, some sort of rewards program. See, I have a 1.5% cash back card, and that means for every dollar that I spend, I get a penny and a half, essentially, back on my credit card that I can put into my bank account. See, I put my phone bill and my car insurance on my credit card, and I think over the course of the past year, I've saved $40 or $50 in just free money from changing the way that I pay. You see, some people have credit cards that help them earn hotel points and travel points, and that way they get to go on trips for free or at a reduced price, and in some cases, it's just all around good to be using a credit card. That way you can earn additional. It gives you an extra incentive for spending money, and it really depends on what works best for you. You know, you might have a not so good credit rating, and so it's harder to get a credit card, or you might have really good credit, and therefore you're getting, I've seen some cards all the way up to 5% cash back. But if you're not good at managing your money, I'd recommend that you keep using your debit card. See, there's an additional layer when using a credit card that can get confusing if you're not financially savvy. See, how a credit card essentially works is you spend a third party's money when using a credit card, and then you have to deal with the third party because you have to pay them at the end of the month, and it can turn into a mess if you aren't efficient or you're not super educated on how you go about using credit. See, debit cards are best for people that aren't in the best financial situation at the moment. So if you've got student loans, you're already in credit card debt, you have a big mortgage payment, or you have a car loan or anything like that, having more credit cards might not be the wisest thing that you can do in the meantime until you pay off that debt, or you pay it down enough where you'll be more comfortable using credit. For some, using credit cards as a way to purchase makes things super easy. I've never had an issue using a credit card because I take so much time tracking my finances. I'll never miss a payment because my bills are on autopilot. You see, I earn money, it goes into my checking account, and every bill that I have to pay is automatically charged on my card, and the balance on my credit card statement is taken directly out of my savings account on the day that my bill is due. I also earn some discounts using autopay on both my phone bill and my car insurance, so that's like an additional $5 a month that I just get to keep for free. See, I track every single penny of my money probably every day, and I can like tell you the net worth off the top of my head, and I think about money at least 32 times a day. Is that weird? I don't know, but since I take so much care of my personal finance situation, I'm able to use credit in the way that I do without paying any money in interest. I paid $0 in interest on using my credit card, and I've earned hundreds since I've had it. It's totally fine to use debit card for the rest of your life if you choose, but just be aware that you should still try and build up your credit at some point because it matters more than you think it does. See, and once again, what works for you might not work for others, so you should really take that into consideration when you decide on what to do next. So you really, really have to know yourself and know your limits. And if you're having a credit card that you're having an issue with, just go ahead and, after this video, just cut up your credit card and don't think about it anymore, or put it in like a jar of ice or something where you can't get to it, because you don't need to be spending on your credit card if you can't afford to make full payments every single month. But if you're super comfortable with credit, you should try experimenting with all of them. Try experimenting with cash, with using a debit card or using a debit card, and see what works best for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to smash that like button and subscribe. And you know what? Leave a comment down below saying what kind of payment method that you use the most, and I'll see you in the next one.